Welcome to the Ohio Farm Bureau podcast. I'm Ty Higgins. Wherever you watch or listen, thank you for doing so, and make sure and like, subscribe, and follow while you're here. The Ohio Landowner Toolkit is a resource exclusively to Ohio Farm Bureau members, and it's recently been updated. Our experts on staff, including Policy Counsel Leah Curtis, providing members with the latest guidance and critical information on land ownership, use, and management. We kick off a series of topics that we include in the toolkit with Ms. Curtis. And Leah, there is one area we tend to hear a lot of questions about all year round, and that's an issue called open burning. What exactly is open burning?
Open burning is when you are burning materials where contaminants from the burning are going to be released into the open air without having some sort of stack or chimney to go through. And depending on what you're burning and where you are burning it, there will likely be restrictions from either the Ohio Environmental Protection Agency or possibly the Department of Natural Resources.
Let's start first with the what you cannot ever burn category.
So under Ohio EPA rules, you can never burn materials that contain rubber, grease, and asphalt. You cannot burn anything that is made from petroleum, like tires or plastics. No burning of garbage, which the rules define as waste from handling, processing, preparation, cooking, or consumption of food. You also should not burn any dead animals unless that is an approved method for control of disease by some sort of governing agency. So all those types of materials, those should never be a part of, the pile of materials that you are planning to burn.
Now, after that, it depends on what type of burning you're doing, where you're doing the burning, as to what rules you have to follow.
So yeah, starting with what type of burning and what the materials are. So agricultural waste is a waste material that's generated by crop, horticultural, or livestock production practices. And those can be things like woody debris, plant material, bags, cartons, some structural materials, landscape waste that's coming from your ag activities. The other types of waste that we commonly talk about is residential waste, which is landscape waste generally that's generated on a property of a 1, 2, or 3 family residence as a result of that residential activity. So whether these can be burnt is going to depend on whether a landowner is located in either an unrestricted or a restricted area.
So, where should we be concerned if we're in one of those areas?
An unrestricted area is going to be outside of a municipal corporation to start with. But where that is in relation to that city is also going to matter. So if a city is less than 1,000 citizens, it's anywhere outside of the corporation limits. If the city is between 1 and 10,000, then the unrestricted area is going to be 1,000 feet beyond that border. And if it is more than 10,000 citizens, then the unrestricted area is going to begin 1 mile outside the border. So if you're in an unrestricted area, you can generally burn ag or residential waste so long as the pile of the ag waste does not exceed 20 feet in diameter by 10 feet in height, or the pile of residential waste does not exceed 10 feet by 10 feet. There also are some conditions that you should pay attention to. Things like making sure that contaminants can readily dissipate, that you're not creating visibility hazards, and all those are listed in the landowner toolkit to help people know what those conditions are.
And if you are in a restricted area and you exceed those size requirements, there will be more processes to go through.
Yeah, so if you're in a restricted area, generally residential waste is not permitted to be burned in those places. Agricultural waste can be, but you do have to go through a notice procedure with the Ohio Environmental Protection Agency, and you need to allow at least 10 days to go through that procedure. Then similarly, even if you're in an unrestricted area, if your pile of waste is going to exceed those size limitations that we talked about, you do need to go through those notification procedures as well before you take part in burning those wastes.
There's another type of burning that has more restrictions that sometimes farmers can get caught up with.
It's important to recognize that the types of waste that are being burnt is really a part of the question here. And so one that we sometimes see people trip up with is what is called land clearing waste. So this is plant waste that is being removed for the purpose of preparing land for development. And that could be residential, commercial, industrial, or agricultural development. So I think of this as I'm clearing a wooded area or a brushy area because I now want to start planting it, or I want to create a new pasture area. In that case, that waste can be burnt in an unrestricted area, but you're going to have to go through that permission process, and there may be some additional requirements on you in doing that. You're going to provide some more information to EPA about the acreage amount, the distances to residents, as well as what is going to be done to reduce the emissions from this burn.
A lot of details in this particular conversation. Where can people find out more about open burning?
So yeah, there's a lot of kind of things to remember about this. And again, we try to provide the highlights here in Legal with Leah. So if people do access that Landowner Toolkit, we've covered all these details as well as given information on how to go through that permission process, citations to the law, and then information on the ODNR burn ban, which puts a limit on types of burning in certain times of year.
Finally, one last tip for anyone doing open burning.
Yeah, so when we get calls about open burning, oftentimes it's because no one has let the local fire department know. So it's always a good idea to get in touch with your local fire department if you are going to do some open burning. It can really help prevent misunderstandings. Particularly people in rural areas, we want to take care of our neighbors, and people mean well, and they may call the fire department concerned that you have a fire on your property, and this can just prevent them having an unnecessary response call, and know that you are already doing this and that you're doing it safely.
ODNR has an important restriction on burning that landowners need to be aware of as well.
Yeah, so this burn ban, we often refer to it as the ODNR burn ban. It prohibits burning in unincorporated areas. So that's going to be most rural areas during certain times of the year and times of day. These restrictions are due to the likelihood of fires spreading during these certain times of year, either due to what might be commonly dry conditions or high wind conditions that can often encourage fire to spread easily and easily get out of control.
What times is that burn ban in effect?
So during the months of March, April, May, October, and November, and then the open burning is prohibited during the hours of 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. So it's just a handful of months, and during those times, but those are times when we do have those higher winds, or we may have some dry, woody conditions that can often create fire hazards.
Important to note, this is not a complete ban. Burning could still occur during these times under certain conditions.
Yeah, so even during those months, even during those times, a landowner can still conduct open burning. What the law says is that that fire should be set within a plowed field or garden and be at least 200 feet away from any woodland, brushland, or fields of dry grass. And of course, these are in addition to the EPA limitations that we talked about last time. So those size limitations and those restricted and unrestricted area limitations.
Now, this is, of course, part 2 of this open burning conversation on the Legal with Leah podcast. And the very first one, you mentioned how it's a good idea to check in with local fire departments as you begin these open burning processes. Why is that important? And what else should landowners think about when it comes to open burning?
Yes, like I said, your fire department is concerned about, safety of life and property. And so talking with them beforehand can help to prevent these misunderstandings. We have a lot of well-meaning people. They may drive by, or maybe a neighbor might see smoke or see flames. They'll be concerned. They may contact the fire department. If the fire department already knows that you've planned to burn, they can probably handle that more appropriately, than just going onto a call unnecessarily, kind of wasting everybody's time and resources. And then in addition, like with a lot of things that we do on the farm, it's always a good idea to give our neighbors a heads up too. We don't want to be sending smoke into their graduation party or something like that. So talking with your neighbors, finding out what's happening in their lives and trying to plan appropriately can help to just solve any problems before they start and keep everybody on a good path.
Leah Curtis is Policy Counsel with Ohio Farm Bureau for this Legal with Leah, talking about open burning, just one of the topics you'll find in the newly revised Ohio Landowner Toolkit exclusively for Ohio Farm Bureau members. You can find that online at ohiofarmbureau.org. Leah, thank you.
Thank you.
Find out how Nationwide Agribusiness can help you grow your business. Get to know the people with the experience and knowledge to help you. Whether you are looking to protect your farm or ranch from the ground up, or need someone who understands your changing commercial ag needs. Find out how to better manage the risks of your ag business, or how quickly you can get back to business. Learn how you can protect your next with Nationwide on your side.
Here in our state, there's an energy at work, a drive to help people live healthier lives with confidence. But it can't be done alone. That's why our healthcare, business, and community leaders have joined together to help people here feel more empowered by their healthcare, leading to improved long-term health and savings. A health plan for small businesses in the agricultural industry was created by the Ohio Farm Bureau Federation. It provides members the tools, resources, and financial protection to feel confident in their healthcare decisions. By sharing responsibilities, we help build healthier employees and communities, driving down costs, connecting connecting members digitally to Anthem's diverse network of local resources, participating in health literacy, easing administrative burdens. Joining the plan means you're part of making healthcare work better, giving people the confidence to make anything possible. To learn more about how the plan can work for your business, visit our website or call your broker or Anthem sales representative.
Welcome back to the Ohio Farm Bureau podcast. I'm Ty Higgins. Farmers wondering how the next farm bill could impact their farm operations and how it could affect the overall state of agriculture in Ohio can count on the College of Food, Agricultural, and Environmental Sciences at The Ohio State University. Their faculty and staff have the answers. CFAES's Farm Financial Management and Policy Institute, we'll refer to that as FFMPI for this conversation. Experts there have answers for producers across the state about the new farm bill once it is passed, hopefully by the end of this year. David Marrison joins us. He is the interim director of FFMPI. David, always great to see you. Welcome to the podcast.
Great to see you and talk to you, Ty.
I know we talked a few weeks ago about FFMPI, but for those that might have missed that conversation, tell us what it is and why it was created.
Sure, and that doesn't roll off the tongue very easy, right? That
No.
MPI, you really have to enunciate when you say that, the Farm Financial Management and Policy Institute. This was created back in the 80s, Ty, but never funded. So to help farmers with their farm finances, and then in the September of 2021, it was funded in a biennium allocation through the Ohio Department of Agriculture to create a vehicle to where we could bring a lot of partners. A melting pot, you could say, where we bring a lot of partners in to help farmers with their farm financial management and policy. So it's housed within the OSU extension, but it also has collaborations with our colleges and schools across the university, as well as we have the ability to go out and find experts at other universities or even in the private industry that are able to help us in the conversation when it comes to farm finances, to ag policy like the Farm Bill, and just have the ability to bring people, experts together to help Ohio farmers.
As I mentioned, you and your staff going to be helping farmers get through this farm bill and figure out what's new, what's different, what may be not in the farm bill this time around, should that be the case. Some listening, though, may be surprised about how significant the farm bill is and how important it is to farmers across the state.
And I think we would say this is Congress's biggest, largest commitment, the largest commitment the U.S. government makes to the U.S. food and ag sector, as well as to the general public through the nutrition side of the Farm Bill. So very, very important piece of legislation. And it's one of those pieces of legislation where we see a lot of bipartisan work together. There seems like there's a lot more ability for Congress to work together in this Farm Bill than they have in other sorts of legislation that they might be working on.
We talk a lot when we talk about the Farm Bill about the Title I programs, ARC, PLC, and the like. Of course, crop insurance, a major component of the Farm Bill that we'd like to see kept in there this time around. And conservation programs, a major part of it as well. But research and outreach programs, also a big part of the Farm Bill. I have to imagine you and your colleagues at Ohio State keeping a close eye on those aspects.
Yeah, we love the research title, why it doesn't get out of the 12 titles. We talk a lot about the Title I commodities, right? And as well as Title IV nutrition. But then when you look at the title for research and extension and related matters, so that is Title VII, that doesn't get a lot of play, right? Because it's a real small portion. In fact, when you think about it, it's a very, very small portion. $694 million was the projected outlays in the last Farm Bill in 2018 for research. And that pales in comparison to, say, the $38 billion for crop insurance or $31 billion for our commodity programs, and really pale in comparison to the $326 billion for nutrition. But boy, the research is so near and dear to a land grant university like Ohio State about how do we keep doing research, effective research, that we are able to help improve our operations across the state of Ohio.
What does this partnership with Ohio farmers look like from a Farm Bill perspective with FFMPI? So we get a new Farm Bill. I'm going to be optimistic. Before the end of the year, we find out what all is in it. And like I mentioned earlier, what all may be not in it. So how do you start educating farmers once this Farm Bill is finalized?
Right. And I look at the Farm Bill, Ty, as a perfect example of how the agriculture industry works so well together. I look at you and your partners there, Ohio Farm Bureau and Farm Bureau across the nation, where when it's in the policy development stage, the importance of Farm Bureau and helping with the policy and giving ideas on how we can improve and craft that Farm Bill, right? And then as the Farm Bill is passed, and boy, I would love to be optimistic as you at the end of the year, but once that is passed, then of course our federal partners like the Farm Service Agency and NRCS will have to lift up those programs that are part of the Farm Bill, do the mechanics of the work, the hard work of implementing those programs. And then where we in OSU Extension and through the College of Food, Agriculture, Environmental Sciences are able to step in is helping producers to look at the Farm Bill and then make a decision. If there's a decision point for their farm, make that decision that best meets the needs of their farms. So it's a beautiful synergy when I look at the whole policy aspect of the Farm Bill, of the Farm Bill policy. The fact that all of our organizations working together for the benefit of farmers. So really at OSU Extension, we try to dive into what does the Farm Bill say, and then help producers understand what is in there, and then ultimately make a decision for their farm to protect their risk.
You mentioned what Farm Bureau here in Ohio and across the country, American Farm Bureau does on this front. But when you talk about those Title I programs, they got a major rework back in 2014 and 2018. Many of the insights that the senators and representatives used came from The Ohio State University and your very own Dr. Carl Zuloff when putting those programs together.
We love Dr. Zuloff, right? And that's still in my career, I've never seen a person who knows public and ag policy better than Dr. Zuloff. And you look back at 2014, we are chugging along for multiple farm bills. And then in 2014, what a huge change for farmers. And that's where I believe our relationship with the Farm Service Agency between Ohio State and Farm Service Agency really stepped to the forefront, as that's really where we had educators that were trained across the state to go out and offer programs in collaboration with all the ag partners, just to have farmers understand what was in this whole new crop program when we talk about Title I with ARC and PLC back in 2014.
David Marrison, Interim Director of FFMPI, which stands for the Farm Financial Management and Policy Institute at Ohio State's College of Food, Agricultural, and Environmental Sciences. David, for those wanting to know more information about FFMPI, how can they find it?
We try to make it easy for you. Just go to farmoffice.osu.edu. Again, farmoffice.osu.edu. That's kind of our farm management brand. And when you get on to farmoffice.osu.edu, you'll find more information about the FFMPI.
Still a lot of work to do on the Farm Bill inside the Beltway, but once that work is done, David and his team will get to work and getting that information out to farmers across the state. Appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.